I am in the Rio. The Rio is about to stop being the Rio on October 2nd. On October 1st, it will be the final day Caesars runs it. It opened in January 1990, and in December 2019, it was sold to Dreamscape. Caesars kept operating it as if it were Caesars property. That's why I've stayed here a bunch the past 3 years. And for me right now, it's September 28th. And on Sunday, October 1st is a Sunday. That will be the final day. It operates like a Caesars property, and the morning of October 2nd, it is Dreamscape. Your Caesars card won't do you any good in here. So I'm just gonna show you around at the end. I'm gonna show you the end of an era. I'm gonna go downstairs. Poker finally being turned into something else. It was poker until Corona. Then it just stopped. The buffet, same thing. Caesars stopped having both of those things, but they weren't changed into anything else because Caesars wasn't going to be operating it for long. So it took a while for Dreamscape to actually turn those areas into something else, still in progress. But I'm going to show you that. Gift shop is just like a ghost town. There's probably people, a really long line waiting to check in. That has nothing to do with it changing from Caesars to Dreamscape, but it's weird that no one uses the kiosks to bypass the line. I'm going to show you that. So I will show you downstairs one of the final days that Rio is under the umbrella of a Caesars property. First thing I want to say for my regular viewers is that there are more road trip videos to come. I wanted to put this Rio video up on October 1st, the final day that it's the Rio, but the next few days, more road trip videos. This, on the left, behind this white wall, this is the buffet, and it was the buffet. You could see in, it wasn't operating since Corona, but you could see in and see the chairs and the tables and the layout where you picked up the food in the past. Finally, they're turning it into something else. It wasn't like this for like 3 years. Finally, they're turning it into something else. Behind this black curtain was the poker room. Same thing as the buffet. Since Corona, it wasn't operating, but the tables were there, the chairs were there. Some of them were pushed off to the side or the back of the room, but it was the poker room until very, very recently, and they finally have put in, they're changing it. It's just more slot machines, but no more poker tables, no more chairs. They're finally changing it. What I think happened was that Caesars, as long as they were operating the Rio, they were going to keep the buffet and the poker room, and Corona gave them a very convenient reason to stop doing both. And since they weren't going to be the future owners of the Rio, they just stopped operating it and just left it there. And it wasn't until incredibly recently that Dreamscape is finally changing it into something else. Again, October 2nd, Dreamscape takes over total control. Caesars doesn't even operate the Rio anymore. So the buffet and the poker room finally changing into something else. I don't know what they're going to be. Here, this has nothing to do with the ownership change. This is the end of the line to check in. It's about midnight when I walked through and I was filming this. Huge line to check in. What I was going to show you was that everyone online, I was going to call them stupid and say, why aren't they using the kiosks to check in? You could bypass this line. You don't have to deal with a human employee. I didn't know that the kiosks weren't working anymore. I'm going to walk up to them in a second, and they're all going to be black. I guess they stopped operating them a few days before it changes to Dreamscape. The thing was, I checked in 3 days before filming this, and this is how I checked in at the kiosk. Even on the Sunday before September 28th, whatever date that was, these kiosks were operating. This one right here on the right of these two is the one I used to check in. And you hit check in and you put in your license, and it has you confirm, you know, the number of days, the number of beds that you don't want housekeeping. And then it prints out a piece of paper that says your room number and the tower, and it prints out key cards. I used it on Sunday. No one else was using it. People were waiting in line. So even when there is the option for the kiosks at Caesars property check-in, a lot of people don't use them. They just wait in line. They don't know there are other options. But in this case, they didn't have another option, although I doubt the people online went to check the kiosks first and then saw that they weren't operating anymore. Anyway, last thing as I zigzag through the casino, trying to avoid security, is I want to show you the gift shop. The gift shop all week, it had very few items. It had signs 75% off, 90% off. Little by little, I don't know if people were actually buying these things, but they went away. And I'm going to walk by. I don't have a lot of time because right past the gift shop is security. You have to show your key card before you get to the elevators. So I didn't want them to see that I was filming. But right here, not a lot of stuff. No clothes racks in the middle of that aisle. Not a lot of stuff at all. Sometimes nothing on the shelves. And it just looks like a garage sale where basically everything was taken. So there you have it, Rio. A shell of itself. We'll see. Well, I won't be back here, but some people will see if it gets busier as it becomes Dreamscape. I am headed back to the 13th floor. Lucky 13, my last day at Rio in probably a long time. Something I will mention that I didn't say during the voiceover. Rio, you can still book through the Caesars website. When I log in and I go to my Caesars account and I click book a room and I search for rooms in Vegas, Rio still comes up. It never says the word offer or promo anymore, but it still comes up. And a lot of the weekdays were $27. I've seen them as low as $6 for me being a diamond status player. 27 is still better than Airbnb. It's still better than any motel you're gonna find. So I guess you could book directly through the Rio now, but it seems like you could still book through the Caesars website for a while, even though it's not a Caesars property anymore. I'm at my room. That's it for me and the Rio. And remember, rice is a spoon food.